Good morning. Welcome to the Mondoo webinar on how DevOps teams can help defend against ransomware. We're really glad to have so many participants joining today. I'll introduce myself. My name is Ben Rockwood. I'm the VP of Engineering and Operations here at Mondoo. In my past, I was at the world's first ever infrastructure as a service cloud joint, where we got to think firsthand about security and start tackling those questions of what does it look like in the cloud, all the way back in 2005. So we've got a lot of time thinking about it. I went over to Chef as the director of IT and operations, also did compliance and audit there and security for them as well, and then spent time at Packet, bare metal cloud, running their site engineering team there, where we also got to participate in security and compliance. And then we're later acquired by Equinix. And at Equinix, shortly after our acquisition, they were hit by a massive ransomware attack. So this is a topic that's very near and dear to my heart. I've also been engaged with DevOps since the very beginning here in the US. It was something we were thinking about at Joint, and I connected with a bunch of other people back in 2009 and Mountain View at the DevOps Days US there, and it's been a wild ride ever since. Gotten to go all over the world talking about DevOps and lean and operations, and a passion of mine is how it connects together with security and compliance. Patrick, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Yeah, my name is Patrick. I built a pen testing team from scratch at SVA. So we were pen testing hard and software. Also, I published some CVEs, some 0 days. Also, I built it from scratch an incident response team at SVA. The main reasons because of ransomware, and also due to forensic and the reversing of malware. Also did some ransom negotiations and supporting customers to rebuild their IT after a successful ransomware attack. Yeah, how looks the agenda? Sorry.
Yeah, let's look at the agenda. So we're going to look at the hacker procedures that are actually used in as they find targets and as they attack targets they find. Then we're going to look at an actual ransomware incident, what it actually really looks like, and then how to handle that ransomware incident. Hopefully we can give you some useful information that if it should happen to you or somebody that you can have an advanced idea of how you would respond to it. We're going to go over some lessons learned that you can turn around and use to help protect yourself. And then we're going to look at how DevOps tools like Mondoo can help you through and avoid these sort of situations in the first place. And then we're going to finish up with hacking and a Mondoo demo so we can see both how you can attack a target and how you can remediate against that attack. Because at the end of the day, that's what we want to do. We want to be able to stave that off. And the more that we can know about the way in which we're being attacked, the more we can protect ourselves and put in remediations. And we hope that Mondoo can be a great part of that strategy. So, procedures. It's interesting to me, Patrick, that the hackers have these complex procedures, and it almost seems as though they may be organized than a lot of the shops that they're actually targeting. So tell us more about how the hackers look at targets and execute those procedures.
Yeah. Yeah, the hacker groups are well organized and also well funded. And the overall hacker procedure looks like this. So in your company, the hackers have two entrance points. One is the client via an email or an infected or malicious document with malicious software in there that owns or takes over the client. The other one is your company providing service to the internet, like a VPN, and an exchange, an email server, or a website also. And also, they have the possibility to brute force or to get valid accounts through a leak or via phishing, and also compromise the service or the server through a vulnerability. And if they have access, the initial access, then the next one is the solidifying the access. That means they are placing backdoors, command and controls, and also they are doing the lateral movement and privilege escalation, because the goal is in this phase to gain root rights or to gain domain admin rights. And for that, you have to hop to other services and compromise them, and also do privilege escalation to gain domain admin rights. And if they did that, then they come to the potential damage phase. That means they are stealing data from your company, like financial, private data, or customer data. Then they're destroying your backup, and also they're encrypting your whole infrastructure that you are not able to work anymore. So let's have a closer look to the Conti group. The Conti group is one of the biggest groups and famous ransomware gangs outside. And that is the darknet side from the Conti group, where they publishing the victims or which companies they compromised. And also they are publishing the data from these organizations or companies. And also I was able to get the Conti playbook. Just to answer your question, Ben, they are well prepared. You have to imagine that such ransomware gang is like a company. You have a managing director, you have the engineers that developing attack tools and also those playbooks, and then you have the operators that are executing the playbooks or the malware and so on. And this playbook starts if they have access to your company, like they are sitting on the client or they are sitting on the server. At first, they are looking about the domain controllers, they enumerate the local administrators, the domain admins, and so on. Then they are also looking for shares in your environment because I saw it also during my pen testing career. You look on the shares and you find a password.xslx, a password list or whatever. Then, because the first target is, or the goal is to gain admin rights or domain admin rights, they are doing Kerberos attacks. You can perform such Kerberos attacks because of a misconfiguration. So you didn't harden your system. Also with Mimikatz, I will show you later in one of my hacks, we are using also Mimikatz to get credentials from a system. So you have a low privileged account on the system, and then you want to have NTLM hashes or whatever from the system. You're using Mimikatz in a Windows environment for that. Then they are using zero logon. It's an unpatched vulnerability. Also, they are looking in GPOs for passwords. That was best practices in the Windows 2000 domain to distribute the password for a local administrator in your infrastructure via GPO. That's also a misconfiguration. The next one is SMB brute forcing. They are using Printer Nightmare. In one of my demos, I use also Printer Nightmare to gain initial access to a system, and then we're using Mimikatz to get the credentials. And this is an unpatched vulnerability. So you see in such an playbook already, it's all about misconfiguration and unpatched vulnerabilities that they are using to gain access to a system or to do the lateral movement in your infrastructure. Let's go a little bit further. Router scanner, zero logon, the anchor. This group uses for backdoors AnyDesk. So they are installing in a silent mode AnyDesk on your systems to gain, that sets the backdoor to gain access at every time. They are using also Atera. That's a remote management tool. Here they are describing how to copy the ntds.dit. That is the file where the whole Active Directory domain lives with every objects, rights, privileges, and NTLM hashes. And let's go a little bit further. Then they are describing in the domain how to hunt for admins. That's a big chapter. I want to show you some other nice stuff. Staged uploading. That's the second stage. They are using Mega.io or hacked Google Drive accounts or Dropbox accounts to upload the data that they are stealing from the company, like financial and so on. Here they prepared a couple of commands to upload that. And the third stage is lock. That means the whole encryption of the company. And you see it also in the locker. The locker is the encryptor that is the encryption tool. They have also the feature to encrypt the complete E6i environment. That means you are on 2 layers encrypted. One is the Windows environment, and the second one is the hypervisor environment. Because I saw also in some incidents Hyper-V and OpenStack that they encrypted the complete virtualization layer and the on-top layer. And Messlog, you have just a couple of one-liners to encrypt the whole company with just a one-liner. Normally, they execute it from the domain controller because the domain controller has communication in every system or a network. Also, they describe a little bit how to disable Defender and so forth and so on. Yeah, that's the playbook from such a Conti group.
That's incredible. That's incredible. They're so well organized, and it's amazing. Actually, I'm sure that there are plenty of people who are looking at this and amazed that some of these things still exist too. Mega.io. I didn't realize Mega.io was still around. But they'll use anything that's at their disposal. It seems like, and it's amazing.
Yeah, let's speak about the attack vectors. What we are seeing right now is that the email phishing decreases and the exploitation of software vulnerabilities increases. You saw it like last year with the Hafnium Exchange. There was a huge vulnerability in the Microsoft Exchange email server, and that is also increasing. Here you have the common vulnerabilities that such hacker groups uses to gain access or to do the lateral movement in a network. And you see here, they are looking really at the edge services like VPN, Citrix, Fortinet, SonicWall, Exchange, Palo Alto, F5, and so on, so forth. Those components are all between the internet and your company, your company infrastructure. They are using that for the initial access. Also, you have Microsoft Office for sure, because they placed some stuff in an Excel sheet or a Word document. Also vCenter to do the lateral movement and also to compromise the vCenter and then to encrypt the whole VMDKs. Yeah, and Microsoft Azure. So they are looking right now also in the direction of cloud, AWS, Azure, GCP.
You know, what's amazing is that we know about these too, right? These are published CVEs. I think we worry a lot about 0 days and these really bizarre. But I mean, what we're seeing from the Conti group is these are well-known, very old exploits. I mean, why would anyone have any of these things be vulnerable in their environment?
Yeah, because they are not aware of it. And yeah, and also your infrastructure gets more and more complex to handle all the CVEs that occurs in your infrastructure is pretty tough.
Yeah, it is. Well, so then how do we handle these things?
Yeah, let's let's look at the ransomware incident. Let's define it. A ransomware incident is an external attacker like the Klopp Group, Conti, and so on. They also stealing data from your company to do the ransom stuff with you, the ransom payment. Also, they fully encrypt the company, so that they are not able to work. So they cannot book, they cannot deliver stuff to the customer, and so on. Let's look a little bit about the external attacker groups, because there are tons of hacker groups or ransomware gangs outside. The famous one and the most active one is the Conti group, that is also well organized and well funded through the Russian government. They are pretty linked together. Then you have also Klopp, you have Lockbit, DarkSide or Dark Web right now, and you see it. You have a ton of such hacker groups. Let's look at some data at the darknet. Here you have a company that was compromised. It's a German one, and they published the DC Sync. The DC Sync is the complete synchronization of a domain controller. That means Perfect. Right now, you have to complete names, Active Directory names, and also the NTLM hashes. So what you see here right now is the complete domain with every object and every NTLM hash. Also, they are stealing customer data. I don't want to show you the details because I don't want to expose private persons right now. That's a company that was also hacked, and this company has several customers, and they store like the title, the name, the street, the town, the nation, the email, the communication, numbers, and so on. And you can just, if you know where to look in the darknet, then you can just download it.
And it's just out there for anyone to pull off the darknet, huh?
Yes.
That's crazy.
That's really crazy because that's private data. It can be you and me, you know. Also, they are stealing constructional, drawings and sell it in the darknet.
Oh wow!
Also, they are collecting private data. I don't want to scroll down right now because that was a scan from a private person. I think they scanned a paper and save it on the hard disk of the laptop, and you see it: passwords, website, ID, passwords, remarks. And I found also private passwords, so that's not connected to this company.
And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, this is just them flexing to show what's available. They've got even more.
Yeah. They have financial data. They have,
the darknet. So we hear about the darknet, but what's really out there? Let's see some more.
It's pretty easy. Just download the Tor browser, and that is the darknet. And then you have to look around to find such databases or leaks in the darknet. You have to invest a couple of hours. You will find it. Yeah. And after a successful ransomware attack, it looks like this, your infrastructure. Your infrastructure is completely damaged, and you're staying around that and smoking maybe a cigarette, and a tough situation. What industries are affected? What we're seeing right now, that the hacker groups are concentrating on managed service providers. Because as a hacker group, you can scale pretty nice with a managing service provider. Because this managing service provider, if you compromise, then this company manage other companies, customers, and then you get a larger scale in your ransomware. But also affected are every industry, almost: health, manufacturing, finance, governance, construction, entertainment, automotive, name it. So every company that makes money is in focus.
And are these targeted, or are most of these opportunistic? Is that one of the reasons that anyone can be hit, just because they really don't care who you are, just so long as you're a target?
Nice questions. How to find out the target? You can use Shodan for it to look for. That's a search query where you're looking for web cameras, and just to have it easy. But what you can also do is searching for vulnerabilities. That means I showed you the common vulnerabilities. You take Shodan, put the common vulnerabilities, take country like Great Britain, Germany, whatever, and then you have the organizations here listed. Which organizations, which IP addresses has this vulnerability? And then you look, that's this organization. Then you look for the financial statement of this company to see if they're making money, because you don't attack a target that makes just $10 revenue. And that is how they select or choose the targets.
You don't even have to scan the entire internet. You've got Shodan to be the yes. Google of vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
And Shodan's not even on the darknet.
No.
It's just out there for anyone to use, huh?
Yeah, in public service, you have just to pay a couple of dollars, 100 or 200, I'm not sure. Use it and then you can search. But they have also botnet networks installed where they are looking for special vulnerabilities for WordPress and so on, and scanning the complete internet for this WordPress vulnerability. And then also they automatically exploit this with the bot network.
That's crazy. So what kind of money are they making if they're looking for targets that have cash? What kind of money can you make?
Pretty huge, that's for sure. Because what we are seeing also, the ransom payments increases from year to year, and right now we're sitting on $500,000 per ransomware case.
Wow.
And I saw a statistic that the country group has over 800 victims. They are successfully exploited, and yeah, if you think half of them paid $500,000, you know how much money they are making.
Wow.
Yeah, how to handle such an incident?
Yeah, what do we do about this? So we get hit, and yeah, what do we do next?
Yeah, I divided it in a couple phases. At first, we have the infection and attack phase. It takes 3 days up to 6 months. 3 days was last year with the Hafnium exchange. That was pretty fast. They exploited the exchange server. Then it was pretty a short path to get domain admin rights and then encrypt all the stuff. Most of the time, or average timing, is 3 to 4 months that of the first attack or infection happens. Then there are 3 to 4 months in your network, and then you get completely encrypted. But I saw also cases up to 6 months. Yeah, so then I get a call that they are encrypted and that we are in the chaos phase. I call it also headless chicken mode. That means you have an unclear situation. You have panicking managing directors. CISOs and IT managers are desperate. So every person is confused, has no plan what to do. And the first thing is to get in the constitutive phase, to make it more clear, to have some procedures in place. That is the phase where you're forming a crisis team, also identifying the critical business processes like paying vendors or delivering stuff to the customer that are the main business process are running. Also perform forensic and IT recovery. And then you get in the emergency operation phase, that you have an emergency infrastructure up and running that can handle the main business process of your company. There you get also to the resource management, because you are working the whole day. Every hour, every minute you're working. So you need a resource management, a resource plan that the persons get also some rest and to time to recover. Then also you're planning and doing the communication with your employees and partners. And this takes round about 23 days, where you are a little bit offline, get online again. And that after 23 days, you have a stable emergency infrastructure running where you handle the main business processes. And then you have the phase return to normal operation. That means you are shifting to normal. That means you have to plan several projects to clean up your infrastructure and also to improve your complete security of the whole infrastructure. And this requires months up to years. It depends how big is your infrastructure.
Yeah, and one of the reasons this can be so devastating, as you pointed out earlier, is that a lot of times they're going after your virtualized platform. So they're going after VMware, they're going after Hyper-V. And so, with a relatively small amount of effort, they can actually create a massive impact. And this is what trickles down to this taking so long. I can definitely say at Equinix, when we got hit, I thought it was going to take us a couple, 2-3 days to get back. It literally took weeks. And then, a year later, we still really weren't back to normal. It was incredible, the amount of impact.
Yeah, because they encrypt your complete virtual infrastructure, your backup, everything. So you have to recover it from old band stuff, whatever. So yeah, how looks the first hour if I step in such an incident? At first, get an overview of the situation, what happens. Then the next questions, it's about 10 or 20 minutes later. Do you have backups? And are they available and also they are working? Because if you don't have backups, so if you don't have data anymore from your company, then we have to start immediately the ransom negotiations. I will show you later why. Then you're starting the forensic. So to answer what happens, how they get the accounts and how looks the lateral movement of the attackers. Then also involve authorities, and then get to restore the IT, or maybe it depends on the case, build it from scratch, the whole IT.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Then on your system, you find the ransom node. That's most of the time it's a text file or an HTML. It's just describing what happened, how you can connect to the ransomware gang, and also you have this private key. Because the Conti group has more engagements at the same time. That means they are attacking 10 or 20 or 30 companies at the same time. And to identify you have to put this this private key in the dashboard from them. I show you. Because you go into darknet, you're on the website, you put your key inside, and then you get your personalized web page. That means you have the current price here. It's about 5 million USD. They want to have it in Moneros. That is a cryptocurrency, a privacy cryptocurrency. And you have this timer that decreases. And after this timer is 0, then your ransom payment doubles to 10 million. That is the reason why I ask in 10 or 20 minutes, if I arrive to this incident, 10 or 20 minutes later, I ask, do you have a backup? Because I want to reduce the time, because it depends on the ransomware gang. Every 6 days, 10 days, or 14 days, whatever, or hours, it doubles the ransom payment. Also, you get some about us, that they deliver you guarantees that they are delivering the decryption algorithm or the decryption tool and so on. Also, you find instructions here and also the chat support. On the side,
chat support. Also, there's actually support.
Yeah, 24/7.
24/7. I mean, that is a business. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's not. I mean, it's incredible.
Okay. Yeah, you have this page. That's the try decryption. That means you upload a little image, like 200 kilobytes, something like that. Upload it, and then you get it decrypted back. That's just to prove that they have the decryption keys. Also on the site, you find some notes about the exchanges where you can buy Bitcoin or get Moneros or whatever. In Europe, it's not allowed to buy Moneros, so you have to switch to Bitcoin. Then you have the chat window, and you are chatting with them because you have 3 negotiation goals. That means one, to reduce the ransom payment, then to get more time because you have to onboard a customer to exchange that they are transferring USDT or dollars or euros to exchange to get the Bitcoins, the crypto currency. Then the third one is that you switch from Monero to Bitcoin, because Monero is a little bit a small market. If you buy for 10 millions Moneros, then you influence the exchange course between dollar and Monero. So you want to get it in Bitcoin. Then you do the negotiations through this chat, and I transmitted the Bitcoins to them and asked for the universal decryptor, because I just want to have one tool that I put on every system, double click it, and then to decrypt. And I asked them that, and I get the answer, I think it will be soon. We are not robots. Our employees need sleep. As soon as someone shows up, they will make your universal decryptor executable. Nice, man. You make pressure on me with the damn counter, and you say, we have to sleep. Thanks. After the payments, you get also access to this website, because every server has its own encryption key. And you will see it on the file extension on the end. You can put these file extensions inside from every server. Imagine if you have 1,000 servers, that makes a huge of pain to put everything there. That is the reason why we are asking for a universal decryptor. And then you can generate a decryptor per system. After a couple of hours, I also received the universal decryptor. You see it here with the executable, and also you get some executable nodes, how to execute it and yeah, to use this tool. Then also a little bit about the forensic stuff. What are the goals? Yeah, for sure, to find out what happened. What was the first access? How did the attacker do the lateral movement in your network? Which accounts they are using? Which tools they are using for like Mimikatz or other attack tools or PowerShell scripts. Also, which backdoors were installed and used during the attack. And also, what data have been stolen through the attack. The forensic steps, pretty easy. Collect evidences like log, RAM images, or forensic images, and so on. Analyze the data and do the documentation in the report. Yeah. What are the lessons learned?
Yeah, well, I mean, what do we do next? So, I mean, it's crazy to see that and just how organized it is. And it's pretty clear there's a huge amount of work necessary after you do this. So, and not only do you need to respond, but you now need to harden your environment in a way to keep it from happening again.
Yeah. And that's also a tough one. Because what are the lessons learned? I showed you already in the Conti playbook that the most mistakes are in unpatched systems. So you have to be invest in the patch management. Also to make it visible that you missing patches on several systems or on your cloud or whatever. Also that you apply a secure configuration. I call it hardening for your client and server for every piece in your infrastructure. That is more or less a little bit a hint. Detach your backup from Active Directory, because the first goal is for the attackers to gain domain admin rights. That means if they are domain admin and your backup is attached to the Active Directory domain, they have immediately access to your backup and they will destroy it. Also implement Active Directory multi-tier architecture so that you have a separation of duties in place. And also to have a network segmentation that you separate, like as an example, clients and server, and you have a firewall in between there that is just allowing the necessary ports. Yeah. How can DevOps tools like Mondoo help you to defend against such ransomware cases? What are the challenges? We discussed right now a huge challenge, the ransomware gang, but we have also a huge challenge because your infrastructure gets more and more complex. In the past, we had just one server with an operating system on it and an application, and that was the whole system. But then we added an additional layer, like a virtualization layer, like Hyper-V, VMware, or OpenStack, or whatever. And then we added another layer, like a container, a Kubernetes, whatever. So we have different layers in one physical data center. But what we are doing right now, we are spreading our data center. That means we are using different cloud services like M365, we're using AWS, GCP, and so on. So we are spreading our infrastructure, and it gets more and more complex because we have also to harden the AWS accounts or the cloud accounts. Not only the workload that is running in the cloud, also the cloud account itself. Then also we have a couple of tools for the different layers. So we have tools to monitor the patches and the hardening in the Windows environment. We have tool for doing that in the Linux environment, for the hypervisor, or for the virtualization layer, for the Kubernetes, for the cloud, and so on. That means you're sitting in front of a couple dashboards that monitoring every security piece. To get noticed, every vulnerability in your infrastructure, that is not possible, because you have to look at 6 or 7 dashboards at the same time from a security perspective only. And Mondoo wants to be the single source of truth, that you have everything together. Also, for every tool that you introduce from a security point of view, you have to hire engineers or persons that are managing that and getting involved in the tool and the vendor language and that stuff. That is what Mondoo is also solving. You have a couple of infrastructures, on-prem, cloud, Kubernetes, whatever. You centralized all the data in Mondoo, visualize it, and also apply a policy as code to your infrastructure. That with the policy as code, you are able to bring different parties or departments from your company together on one table and speaking one language with the policy of code. Yeah, Mondoo solves 3 problems mainly. Preventing misconfiguration and detecting vulnerabilities across your complete infrastructure. Automate security and compliance across the entire lifecycle, because Mondoo you can also integrate in the CI/CD pipeline, so in the development, in the building, and you can also scan the production with the same policy. You don't have to write a policy that is working in the CI/CD. You don't, and a different policy that is working in the production system. It's just one policy, and you can go with the complete life cycle. And also driving engagements between the different parties, security development and operations, because you have one language, the policy as code, to look at. And that is the key for security in my perspective, or in Mondoo's perspective. Because you have to shift left your complete security, because if you fix everything in the production, in the operation, that's pretty complex and also expensive. If you shift your complete security and compliance in the dev build environment, that's pretty easy, because it's easy to test the system. It's not working, it's not compliant to my policy, then throw it away. Program it in a little bit the other way. Now it's compliant. Then go to the build, test, deploy, and roll it out in the infrastructure. So that's really key. Yeah, let's do some hacking.
Let's see it. Let's see it for real.
Yeah. For the first, we have a Windows 2016 machine. And we are hacking, get initial access with the printer nightmare and doing mimicuts to get the credentials from the system. For that, I started on my attacker machine, the Samba server, because with the printer nightmare, I produce an RPC call via the SMB port on the server and say to the server, hey, please install the following printer driver. And download this printer driver for my attacking machine via the SMB server here, and install it. And this printer driver has a reverse shell that is executed and connects back to my attacker machine, that I have a shell and control the complete system. For that, I spinned up a listener on port 4444 to receive the reverse shell from the Windows 2016 machine. For that, I am using Metasploit. I configured it already. We are just running it, and hopefully everything is working. Come on. Yeah, it's working. Nice. Now I have a reverse shell from this Windows 2016 and execute the PowerShell, because I like more the PowerShell than the command line. And right now I'm downloading Mimikatz from my SMB server that I was starting. I uploaded it to C Windows temp, change it to the directory. Then I extract the zip file. Sorry. And changing to the Mimikatz directory, executing Mimikatz, and get the NTLM hashes. And boom, we have the NTLM hashes. Then we take this NTLM hashes and go to crackstation.net, put it in there, and crack the hash. And now we have the clear text password. Okay, I know it's a pretty easy one, but it follows the password requirements of a Windows. You have upper and case letters, you have a number, and you have a special character. So it's following the complete password creation policy of Windows. And that is what is the Conti group is using. I showed you in the Conti playbook. So then a next little hack. We deployed a web application that is this one. It's a GitLab with a vulnerability. It has a command injection vulnerability. We're executing it, that I gain access. And then I'm using the pawn kit that was published in January this year to get the root rights. For that, I have this GitLab running in a Kubernetes cluster. I also started a listener because I'm sending a couple commands to the web application. This downloads from my web server and binary and executed it. And this binary does a connection back to my attacker machine. That is the reason why I opened this listener, to listen for the connection. This is my web server and executing a couple commands. I wrote a Python script for it. I created a fresh Mondoo account. The user is Mondoo. The password is mondoo.com. Putting the IP address in it, and the command is just doing curl. So download this binary from my web server and put it in temp met. And hopefully everything is working. Perfect. You see right now on my web server, this machine goes to my web server, download the met container executable. Then I make it executable. And then I execute it. And hopefully everything goes right. Yes, perfect. I have a shell. To get a shell, I have just to type shell. And now I have the right of a Git user. I want to gain root rights. That means I change the directory pretty quick. Download the privilege escalation, the pre-compiled pawn kit from my S3 bucket. I have a S3 bucket. You can download it. It's a Trojan inside. Happy to execute it and get a reverse shell. No, just kidding. Make it executable, my privilege escalation. Execute it. And now I'm root.
Wow.
So how we can detect such stuff with Mondoo? On the Windows machine, I installed already the Mondoo client. You just type in Mondoo scan, or you can install it as a service. And in the Mondoo dashboard, you have I have a couple of spaces. You can define spaces for your organization, for your technology, for your departments, whatever. Let's zoom in my test. Then you get an overview that I have asset risk distribution. A is good, F is bad. I have 64 systems in my fleet right now and 30 clients, Mondoo clients installed in my environment. Then to get an overview of your systems. This is the Windows machine that I scanned. Here you have the platform vulnerability policy, where you're getting the advisories that which patch is missing and which is it critical or is it medium or whatever. And also you have the CVEs, because that is more for the operators, because they want to know which patch I have to apply. And this is more the view for the security guys, because they want to know which vulnerabilities do we have in this infrastructure. And we use this vulnerability. That means the printer nightmare, we are had remote code execution in the printer spooler. So we also can look at our Linux machine. Also, with Mondoo, I'm able to scan an offline container. This container is not running. I just built it, and then it's scanning. I'm also able to scan the whole Kubernetes cluster where this machine is running, or I'm just scanning an AWS account, GCP account, or whatever. So that's a scanning. It's a little bit huge, this image, because I was not so to shrink the image. So it's a pretty huge image. And this one. Also, you have the vulnerabilities here. And I use the poll kit. Where's the poll kit? Here. This one is installed, this package. And if you want to fix this vulnerability, you have to install this one. And also you see the vulnerability that I was using. And that's this one. That's the pawn kit, or the PKExec problem that was published in January this year. And also some misconfiguration, because what I showed you right now is that you have that you can detect vulnerabilities, but also you are able to detect the misconfiguration. Hopefully you can remember the Mimikat stuff. That is why was that working? It's about a misconfiguration on the Windows system, because default Windows system has a SE debug privilege enabled. That means every person that, or every user that has this privilege can dump this process and examinate this dump and get the credentials out of that. And that is also a misconfiguration. And you are able to detect this with Mondoo.
This is awesome. And right there, I noticed right there in the user interface, you've also got remediation steps. So this is not just detection. This is also helping you remediate the problem and protect yourself against it.
Yeah, correct.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, we've got a couple of questions coming in. One thing that I wanted to point out there too is PwnKit is one that's a really concerning one, because of course there are plenty of cases we've seen, like with printer nightmare and whatnot, where you might be tempted to say, why is the printer driver there? Why is the printer code there in the first place? But with PwnKit, I mean, that's audit D. That's your policy kit, right? That should be on every host. And looks relatively safe. And to provide that kind of exploitability is just mind-blowing, right? Got all of us. Yeah. We had a question come in a little bit earlier, if you don't mind going back. Somebody was curious about Monero.
Yeah. What do you want to...
So the question was, how frequently is that currency used, and where are people actually trading with that currency?
Yeah, you have a couple of privacy coins. The Conti group uses most of the time Monero, but you have also Zcash. That's a both are privacy coins, and you can get it in exchanges in America, I think. Like Kraken or Coinberry, it's a Canadian exchange, I think. And what in Bitcoin, every transaction is transparent. So I see if I have a wallet and Ben has a wallet, it's you don't have the names on the wallet, but you see that I transferred a couple of Satoshis or Bitcoins to this wallet from Ben. And in Monero, you don't see this transaction anymore between the two wallets. That is the reason why most of the time they want to have privacy coins.
Keep it all under the radar. It's
Yes.
incredible how those are being utilized. It was really interesting how you were showing earlier the interaction that's actually happening between ransomware groups and yourself. And you said that it was normally 23 days in that back and forth. There was a question here about what the interaction is like afterwards. So once the incident is complete, are you now safe? Or are we in a position where there's additional attacks that can happen? I mean, can we trust these people to leave and not come back?
Yeah. I have also customers, or I had also customers in my previous job. This customer comes every year to me and said they are compromised. So if you paid or you have this ransomware ongoing in your infrastructure and you paid them, that is not a guarantee that this ransomware gang comes not a year later back to you and hack it you again. So because they know you are willing to pay, and yeah, you're the perfect target, because I know you have money, you're willing to pay, I just have to encrypt you. Nice, thank you.
We got another question that was coming in here. The question was about support for clouds and which clouds they can get protection in.
Yeah, Mondoo can connect to AWS, to Azure, to Google, to VMware, Docker, Kubernetes. Also, it's aware of Terraform and CI/CD. That means you can integrate in the Azure DevOps pipeline, the AWS code build, and GCP cloud build. So from that are the main cloud supports, I think. That should be enough.
And an important point is that VMware, right? A lot of these large enterprise attacks are going after VMware, and having that first and foremost for those large on-prem environments is certainly key. And I know that a number of the attacks that I've seen, we see things sort of start at the periphery, right? Some of the bigger attacks have actually been just infrastructure, because no one has ever spun up a test host with too many privileges. Of course, we would never do that. But we see this in the clouds. We see this in VMware. We see this all over the place where seemingly innocent test is deployed with excessive permissions and opens the door for people to come in and start poking around. And as we saw, once you have a foothold, it doesn't take much to be able to expand into other parts of the infrastructure.
You're right.
So an important point here for everyone, and this gets to a question that was submitted earlier, is being able to protect yourself across the life cycle, and that this is why we're a DevOps tool and not just a traditional security scanner. Is we need to be protecting ourselves at each phase, at the time that we're developing, at the time that we're deploying, and then through that deployment life cycle. We need to keep track of that state in a continuous sort of manner. There's no opportunity here to be weak, because that becomes the vector in which you're going to be attacked.
Yes, and that is I completely agree. That is the key for security. That you have to integrate security in your DevOps pipeline, in your DevOps culture, and so on. That is really key for security.
It is. Well, we have a couple more questions, but I think we're coming up on time here. And I want to be respectful to everyone else's time. Are there any resources that people should know about if they want to follow up on this?
Yeah, just connect to us via mondoo.com. And yeah, if you have any questions, write at mondoo.com.
Yeah, and I'd encourage.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'd encourage everyone to go to mondoo.com, sign up for an account. You can get started right away for free and start scanning infrastructure. We'd love for you to be able to see what's possible on the platform. And as you can see throughout this presentation, these are a lot of very old vulnerabilities, well-known vulnerabilities. They're there. They know that they're there, but you don't. And that's where we want to give you the knowledge of what's in your infrastructure, make it quick and easy for you to get that information, and then follow that up with the next steps to take in order to resolve those problems in your infrastructure. They're there, they're waiting. All you need to do is start to look, and we've made it as easy as possible for you to get in and determine what those things at every single part of your life cycle.